The Chicago Bulls lottery odds are dropping while their playoff chances are rising, and why that is probably exactly what AK wanted to happen. Now, in today's episode, we're talking about what that means for the future of Billy Donovan. We're getting into all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts as well. Pat, the Bulls. Yeah, I mean, we were one of the first to say I got to give you credit for it because you did bring it up as a topic, that the Bulls are going to make the playoffs. Where it seems like the odds are starting to go into that direction, right? We'll talk about that a little bit more in the second segment of the show, but I do want to start off talking about this, right? Billy Donovan, right? As much as there's rightful criticism to Billy Donovan, I want to make sure that there's criticism to go around, right? Billy Donovan, from one season to another, has completely revamped the offensive scheme, right? We talked about that at the beginning of the season. He did draw up a scheme that was more conducive to the players that we had on the roster. We then made a trade at the trade deadline with players that actually helped that scheme a little bit more. The Bulls are playing. We have a younger team. They're rocking and rolling. 3 winners of 3 in a row. Yeah, we still haven't won a whole lot of games. That hasn't necessarily been the goal either. The question here, Billy Donovan has 1 year left on his contract. There's been no talk yet of a contract extension. That doesn't necessarily mean anything with this front office. For all we know, he could already have it. Technically, They never announced the deal that Billy Donovan's on right now. They never announced it.
We don't even know if he really is.
He's just here. For all we know, Billy Donovan. If those details never came out from Casey Johnson, we'd still be like, hey, is Billy just coaching for free? Does he have a contract? Is he just what's happening? But so as of right now, the future, as far as we know of Billy Donovan, is uncertain. Do you think that Billy has done enough with a younger squad that the Bulls are going to look at this and say, no, Billy is the right guy to guide us through at least the beginning of this reset, rebuild, whatever you want to call it?
Listen, I mean, y'all know how I feel, and we talked about this a couple of times when I talk about the coach that Billy Donovan is and the coaches that are out there that are available to the Bulls. Are you going to swap out Billy Donovan for another Billy Donovan? And maybe, your hope usually in that situation is that the message changes. Yeah. It seems like the message has changed, though. Mm-hmm. Seems like with this new group, the message is getting through and people are closing out on corner threes all of a sudden. It's a miracle. Doesn't mean that he's a terrible head coach. Doesn't mean that he's a great head coach. I think it just means that he's exactly what the NBA is for head coaches right now. And so for me, I think you're in a situation where if you're talking about the future of Billy Donovan being in jeopardy, you're probably not really actually looking at what the NBA is and especially what the Chicago Bulls are as far as a team. I mean, the future.
To be fair though, Pat, like we've seen coaches be fired with above 500 records. So there's a wide spectrum of what the NBA is, right? Like we've seen coaches be fired for less than what Billy Donovan is doing.
I mean, for sure. We've seen coaches be fired after a coach of the year stint. But I think my point in all of that is like you're going to swap Billy Donovan out for different Billy Donovan. You know what I mean? Like Dwayne Casey going into a different situation after being a coach of the year and didn't have the same players. He was terrible. Guess what? You give him good players and he's good. It's a miracle how that works in the NBA. So for me, the Billy Donovan conversation right now, he's getting through to these players. I would say he probably ends up being here with the Bulls because AK is going to see that, well, once Zach LaVine was gone, once Nikola Vucevic was kind of just on the bench and not playing for some undisclosed reason. I mean, they disclosed it, but I ain't buying it.
They disclosed it, but you smell a little cap there.
Yeah. CAP. But like to me, that there's those things, those conversations speak to Billy Donovan probably being here at least through this next iteration of the Bulls. Now, if you know how the Bulls are, and we've done this before, right? We've had coaches that are just like, bro, I'm done. Like, let me go.
That's fact. Like, hey, thanks for y'all wanting me to stick around, but I mean, Doug Collins was that guy. Heck, they wanted Doug Collins to come back, and he was like, "Do you really want that?" Remember before we hired Vinny, they wanted Doug to come back, and Doug was like, "I don't know if you really want that, man.
Listen, it was Doug didn't want to come back. Doug was like, listen, bro, I'm not doing this again. Y'all not gonna ridicule me. I'm going to Philly where they nice. Wait a minute, what? That was
and then came back and has been on the payroll for almost 8 years now.
Bro,
so
what's he doing up there, bro? What's he doing up there, bro? He just chilling.
He's special advisor to the special advisor. Because don't forget, John Paxson is technically the special advisor. Like,
hey, bro, he here for the vibes, bro. You know what I mean? Like, him and Pax up there just like, hey, man, you remember 90? What a year.
Doug Collins just comes through for summertime shy. That's it. Like, he's like, hey, baby.
Oh, Doug Collins is definitely working remote until April. Doug Collins not in Chicago, bro.
He's on some beach in some remote island, just sitting there with a computer, just like, I'm waiting for the Bulls to hit me up. That's it.
That's all I need. What do you need? You need me to look at this draft prospect? Don't draft him. There you go. All right, I'm done for the day.
Does AK like him? Don't draft him.
Nah, man, but I think the Billy Donovan conversation is one where, again, who's the guy you're going to get? Like, that's the thing. Unless you find the next big thing, or I will say this: Ty Lue get fired.
Ty Lue. I feel like Chris Quinn is like the next up and coming coach, and I get what you're saying as far as like there are a lot of times where coaches change and then they hire a new guy, and you're like, if you squint a little bit, it's the same guy. Doc Rivers has been the same guy for every new time he's gotten hired for the last decade, right? He's the same guy.
Frank Vogel is white Doc Rivers.
Guy. Yeah, like they're very similar people, right? But I think that they don't go into that thinking that. I think these teams go into really thinking they're getting an upgrade or some type of stability, and it's like, you hired this. If you just got tired of looking at somebody's face, it's cool. Like it's all right. Like Kanye's been switching out women for the last decade. They're all versions of Kim Kardashian. Like that so it is what it is there, right? But I've come to this point, and that's why I don't talk as much about Billy Donovan anymore, because I truly think Billy Donovan is doing exactly what this front office wants him to do. Like, I mean, you got to keep in mind, like, they have given Billy Donovan incomplete rosters every year. And I'm not a Billy Donovan guy. Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they fired Billy Donovan tomorrow. You're not going to no sweat off my back. I wouldn't mind it at all. But I think that as long as this front office has an excuse or a reason to, like, Billy's done enough, he does what we need him to do, he's a team player, he talks to Jerry every day too, Billy's going to be here for quite a while. If you're any Bulls fan is hoping and hinging their wishes on Bulls improvement coming via a new coach, stop it. It's not coming.
Yeah, and listen, I think it's funny. The one MR said, is Billy trying not to make the same mistake twice by not leaving a young team like he did in OKC? Probably.
That could be a part.
He probably looks back at OKC and been like, if I had gone through one rebuild year, I could be coaching one of the best teams in the West and a team that actually cares about playing defense. Now, I don't know if that team is built exactly the same, but you definitely would have had Shea. And so to me, I think the funny part about all of this is, like, in the long run, I do agree with you. Teams don't go into the situation thinking that that's what it's going to be. But teams also thought that Paul Zipser was going to be a good NBA player. You know what I mean? They're just this thing. But that's kind of you always hope for the best in every situation. A lot of times it ends up being the same unless you upgrade the talent. I don't know if we're going to have that massive of a talent upgrade here over the next couple of years. I hope that there is. I hope that AK gets it right. But it seems like Billy Donovan's got somebody listening to his message, and all of a sudden he looks like a good head coach to the point where it doesn't turn our stomachs when we say the Bulls are probably keeping Billy Donovan.
Well, the thing is, too, is like, we've said this for years. Billy Donovan looks better as a head coach when he has a point guard that's running his system at a high level.
Yeah.
What has Josh Giddey been playing at lately at a high level? And I tell you what, you still got Trey Jones. I think is going to look really good in Billy Donovan's system as well if he steps into the starting lineup. Or if Josh Giddey does miss some time, which we'll talk about that towards the end of the show, because we still have no update on Josh Giddey. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That feels terrible. Feels like
I went and looked at when Josh Giddey hurt his ankle earlier this season, which I believe was against Toronto. Literally, they announced he'd be out for a week the next day, and he missed 4 games, right?
I feel like we're about to get an announcement of, like, Josh Giddey's ankle had to be sawed off, and we put a cadaver ankle on it, bro.
Cadaver ankles?
Bro, cadaver ankles. We doing everything with cadavers, bro.
I mean,
the ankle came from an African man in Uganda.
Josh Giddey with African ankles.
He's got a black foot.
Scary.
He's got a black foot.
Anyway. Next up, we're going to be discussing the Bulls playoff odds as those odds continue to rise. And it's a little bit of scary thing there. But first, we've got to get to a message from a couple of our sponsors. And the first one is Wayfair. Your home should reflect your style. And with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or going all full 80s Vice like Pat the designer there is, Wayfair has everything you need all in one place. Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find the perfect piece no matter your space or budget. From cozy furniture and stylish decor to kitchen essentials and outdoor must-haves, Wayfair has it all, and the prices that fit your budget. I was looking at a new rug to tie my living room together, and Wayfair had so many stylish options at great prices. The site made it simple to compare styles, and my order arrived fast with free delivery. I was surprised to find everything from storage solutions to patio decor, making it my go-to for all things home. Head over to wayfair.com and find something that's just your style today. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style for every home. Also got to bring another message to you guys from TurboTax. This message is a sponsor from Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you everything, every deduction possible, and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All you can do is get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. More Locked On Bulls coming up next.
That ain't right.
Like that, don't you?
Big cutlets out here, dog.
Cutlets
don't let me pop one more button on this shirt.
If he pops another button, the bada bing's gonna come out, and you never know what's gonna happen.
Bada bing, bada boom. It is hilarious that me and you talked about this, how just changing my wardrobe can change completely the race.
Completely, bro. Racially ambiguous, Pat.
Racially ambiguous. The face of DEI, baby. What's going on? How y'all doing?
Anyway, Pat, they hire Pat. They can cover every single DEI opportunity.
Listen, I'm telling you.
Bulls playoff odds are rising. Right now, the Chicago Bulls, Pat, have a 13.3% chance to make the playoffs. That means no lottery pick. We'll see how that goes. Of course, that can rise as the Bulls win more games, as the playing goes on. The teams around the Chicago Bulls, both above the Bulls and below the Bulls, are not winning at a very high rate. This is a very real chance. Right now, the Bulls are a half game back of the 8th seed. How do you feel about the Bulls that right now, at this point in time, where most people thought that the Bulls' lottery odds would be increasing, the playoff odds are actually what's been increasing?
I told you.
Pat is the worst person that you can give I told you so to, by the way. I just want to let y'all know that.
No, because it's the thing. Because Russ was sitting there, was like, Pat, there's no way. But they might make the playoffs straight out. Now, I said, listen, here's the tough part. Now, they're not going to get to the 6th seed, so they would still have to be in the play-in tournament no matter what. But this is worse. Like, they might actually make the real playoffs and be a real playoff team and have to go through the play-in, and maybe they lose in that situation. And that's worse because all AK is going to do is go, well, we were a top AC. We made the playoffs.
Oh, my God, bro. We traded Zach LaVine. We had moved DeMar DeRozan in the offseason and lost Alex Caruso. And we actually made the playoffs for the first time. We didn't make that with those guys. That's all AK needs, bro. That's all AK needs.
Which, now look, they haven't won enough games for that to be the case, right? You would have to go on a run to finish the season that I think would, for it to be validated, right? But if you go on a actual run to where you find yourself in a point where you're in the seventh seed finishing out the season because of these young Bulls, because of Josh Giddey, which we got to see about the update on that, because of Matas Buzelis playing better, because of Kobe White hitting his stride. Is that a bad situation for you to be in? I understand the draft implication. I get that. I understand, right? If you want the high draft pick, which I do want the high draft pick, and I think that that's the worst case scenario of what you would lose out here. But if you remove all the pieces and the young Bulls figure it out, is that bad?
The thing, this is the way I look at it. If I had, and this is not to compare to front offices, if John Paxson was the GM, where John Paxson found value at every level that he ever drafted at, whether it was lottery, whether it was right outside the lottery, or it was in the first round, John Paxson found value at every level of the draft. I wouldn't mind as much because I'd say, all right, bet. Yeah, we made the playoffs, but John Paxson's going to find the best player available even if we pick at 20. I don't have that faith in AK, right? We still need talent. And that's the part where it's not that I don't trust the talent we have now on the roster as far as what they've shown. It's that I don't know if we have the front office that's going to be able to build off that talent because they haven't held. We're talking about a 4th overall pick that's sub bench warmer, right? That's the biggest concern. I think that's where that the concern overlaps at. It's like we can't even enjoy these young players doing the right thing and fighting and competing and maybe going on some type of play-in run because then it's like, okay, that's great. But then, okay, what's the next step, AK? I don't trust AK to make that next step. And that's the fear in it. I love the fact that the players have been playing hard. I love the fact that they won 3 games in a row despite everything that's been in front of them over the course of the season. But I can understand where the fans' anxiety comes from because it's like, all right, all right, let's say we do make it out the play and get to the playoffs. Now what? Are we we're just going to still be this playing team for the next 3 to 5 years? That's a legitimate concern because I don't know if this front office can find even in a deep draft the next 2 years. If you gave John Paxson at his prime when he was GM of the 2025 and 26 draft, I would trust that we're going to come away with 1 starter, at least out of these next 2 drafts, and a possible star because that's John Paxson, right? AK hasn't earned that faith yet.
And listen, if that is the concern, being at the top of the draft don't make a difference.
Yeah, that concern is going to be that is going
to. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of my takeaway from all of it, where the players on your team can do a lot. If you find a star, we talked about it yesterday, right? Can Josh Giddey be? Let me take these names off. Well, sitting here really having a conversation with these joints on. Oh Jesus, it's a lot of light. Can we find a star who is on the team? Can we find something that we can develop into an answer for that question of do you have a star player? To me, that's the conversation if you're in the playoffs and you sit at the 18th overall pick, or if you're out of the playoffs and you sit at the 5th overall pick. That concern for me stands no matter the situation that we're in because I don't trust AK to get the job done in the draft. Why? Because he ain't got the job done in the draft yet. His best draft pick right now is Ayo Dosunmu.
With Modest,
who's a good player.
Yeah.
But Modest could be changing the title on that. Yeah. But who's a good player. But I'd still say his best draft pick is Ayo Dosunmu. But who's a good player, but it's not a star.
Right.
Who's a good find, but he's not a star. And so, like, the playoff odds, and I get people losing their minds, and I get, you falling out. But I would have to say, now it depends on how you get in, right? If we're talking about the Hawks lose their next 5 games and the Bulls win 3 of those 5 and they find their way in and now you're the 7th seed, that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about, like, if you find this young team continues to build on who they've been showing you that they can be and they move in the right direction to the point where it's like, oh, we're getting some wins we wasn't supposed to get. We're actually starting to beat some good teams out here. We're actually figuring things out after we've removed all of the veteran pieces that were supposed to be the dogs in this. I would feel a little bit better about that.
I mean, and I wouldn't be able to blame you if you feel better about that. I mean, it feels better either way from where we thought we would be at this point in time. Like, me and you both kind of thought, like, all right, bet we're going to trade Zach. I think most people thought that. And, yeah, this team's going to be bad for quite a while. Now you're starting to see more of a path. If this development is real and continues, it's like, all right, maybe we're actually competing for actual playoff spot here in the next 2 or 3 years if we get the next few drafts right. I think the biggest concern is like I said is the what's next aspect, because if this team if we do make the playoffs, we lose out on a lottery pick, and we don't get another player that's at least a starter level, then it's like, all right, where are we going to be at, right? But I feel good about the players one way or another. Like nothing can make me feel bad about where the players are. I feel like these players have shown so much heart, and that's what you want to see. Like they remind me of that of that Baby Bulls team, and I don't say that just to throw that out there. They legitimately feel like that, and that was a time period where that first season of that, we were fighting and competing. We were losing most of the games. We were losing, right? So, and then we went on what was 8 out of 9 years we made the playoffs after that. Like so. It feels like we're building on something. My doubt isn't in the roster. It's just in NK. But like you said, that doubt's going to be there until they prove otherwise. And maybe Maltis helps that. Io could help that. If they do find really good talent, which again, we talked about it. Danny Wolf could be there right outside the lottery. Somebody's going to fall, whether it's Derek Queen, Danny, somebody's going to fall outside the lottery. We just got to trust the Bulls' ability to find that guy. And if that guy still turns into at least a starter level, of course, you're probably not looking at star or superstar at that point in time. I mean, you're still building, you're still moving and progressing in the right direction.
Yeah, trust the Bulls is always a tough conversation to have. Hey, we got to tell you guys, we got to talk about the fact that there is no Josh Giddey update yet, I should say. But first, we got to do a message from Skims. Well, hello there. When I found out Skims was making men's underwear, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. Let me tell you, oh yeah, it lives up to the hype. I've always had an issue with underwear. Fit, comfort, or just finding the right style for me. Skims has changed all that. Their men's line offers something for everyone. From boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance and comfort and style. I tried the Skims. I don't know which ones did I try here. I tried the Skims box. I tried the Skims boxer briefs. And let me tell you, to all my fellow dads out there, you can probably relate to this. Our underwear drawer hasn't had a good update in quite some time. Jesus, what is that always? I was always partial to something simple. That's when I tried the Skims Cotton 3 boxer briefs, and it's everything I loved about my classic boxer briefs, but honestly, better. They're the perfect weight, the perfect classic cotton feel, and the design is nice and simple how I like it. From now, this dad is going with Skims. How'd I just pick that one? I need you guys to do me a favor and shop Skims men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select a podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Make sure, yet again, skims.com/LockedOnNBA and let them know Haize sent you.
I'm just using the wrong beats all over the place. But that's humble yourself, my boy. Next time that I got to do a crazy hour, hopefully that reminds you to humble yourself, because that was hilarious. That was
my first time doing that. When I ain't gonna lie to you, I didn't know there had to be a drop down to go find the right draws, bro. Probably should have read that one over. I'm not gonna lie to you. And then I landed on the dad one. I don't know how I landed on the dad one.
Hey, it was karma, bro. It was karma. Get those dad draws in there, bro.
Hey, man.
Real quick before we get out of here.
Shay.
That's crazy. Give Vern a pair because everybody's still surprised he got kids. But Pat, before we get up out of here, Josh Giddey, no update as of yet. For those that we're recording this about 8:45 Chicago time in the morning. No update yet on Josh Giddey. How worried are you, brother?
Listen, no update is not good with the Bulls. No news is not good news when it comes to the Chicago Bulls, because usually no news means we're not going to hear anything for the next couple of games. And then all of a sudden they're going to be like, Josh Giddey's dead. I thought it was an ankle. That's how things go with the Bulls. Remember with the Lonzo Ball situation, they were like, he's day to day. And then they got to like, a week and a half later, they're like, we're really taking things week to week. It was like, wait, it was just day to day.
Same thing happened with Patrick Williams last year. Remember Patrick Williams, it was supposed to be, I think it was 4 days initially, was it? And then it was like, oh, it's going to be about a week or two. And it was like, oh, he has a bubble in his foot that could burst and blow his foot up. He's out the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't. It's not a good situation when you don't hear things from the Bulls, and so it does make me think that we may be heading towards shutting Giddey down, which could improve our playoff odds tremendously the other direction. That might be what the Bulls were hoping for there. Billy Donovan's like, we went in a little too much. That's what I said yesterday, bro. When we beat, or 2 days ago, we beat the Pacers. I was like, hey, we done a little too much winning. I like the competitiveness. I like the fight. But we do a little too much winning. So I do wonder if this is going to turn into something bigger. What I hope is we're not talking about something surgery wise.
Yeah,
and that's my concern right now.
Yeah, if it's just a rest thing that it's a severe sprain and he basically just needs to bandage up, rehab, and let the swelling go down. I don't care if he misses a month. I don't give a damn if that's it. But if we start getting into surgery, I'm going to start being a little bit worried. So yeah, I mean, let's hope that we get an update early tomorrow, whatever it is, and that Josh Giddey's good to go. And you know, I mean, not good to play. I do think he's going to probably miss tomorrow. He's probably not going to play the rest of this week. At least we play Thursday and Saturday this week, so we're probably not going to see him the rest of this week, I would guess, with us not having an update as of yet. But let's hope that ultimately it's not anything surgery wise, not anything, no type of ligament issues or anything like that. Like just a sprained ankle. Keep it pushing. No matter how long he's out, like I said, that could help the pro tankers calm their tits a little bit and chill out a little bit. So.
Why are we losing? Well, everybody behind us is losing. It doesn't matter.
Any other thoughts, Pat, before we get up out of here, brother?
Nah, man, let's get up out of here, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer.
Absolutely. You can follow me at CEO Haize. You can follow us collectively at Locked On Bulls. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV. You said you just found us somewhere else too, Pat. Where'd you find
Fubo TV. I was sitting there just because you know, I have a plug for the Bulls games. So I was sitting there scrolling through Fubo TV, and all of a sudden there was Nick Angstead on my TV. Like, what's he doing up here? We got a channel?
All right, so there you go on there. That as well, man. We appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Love you guys. Go Bulls. Get more wins. Peace out.